Well, the Malaysian opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim has been, of course, in the midst of a 3-day appeal against a charge of sodomy and a 5-year jail term. Our South Asia correspondent Samantha Hawley has been watching the Anwar case. Sam, good to talk to you from Bangkok. Of course, you are back there. Tell us a little bit about the proceedings, because they seem to have gone a little longer than expected.
That's right, they have gone for a few more days than was expected. It was expected that this case would just last for 2 days. That is, that Mr Anwar's defence team would put their case forward on one day, and then of course the prosecution would reply on the next day. But as it's happened, certainly the defence has taken a lot longer than was expected. Of course, it's in the federal court in Kuala Lumpur. There are 5 judges hearing this appeal, but we're now expecting that the last day of this hearing will be held on Monday, and it still remains unclear how quickly the judges will then act to bring down their verdict, whether they'll bring it down straight away, that is on Monday as soon as both sides have summed up, or whether the judges will wait perhaps a few more days before they actually deliver their verdict in this case.
Now, Sam, there's only been one international journalist allowed to listen in on the evidence. Are they able to do much reporting outside and spread the word, so to speak?
Well, that's right, but of course, as you know, this is an appeal, so a lot of this evidence has been heard before. Of course, Anwar Ibrahim has been acquitted of sodomy in the past, and again on this case he was acquitted. That acquittal was overturned earlier this year, in March of this year. So this is an appeal. A lot of this evidence has been heard before. Now, of course, Mr Anwar's defence team say that there is no evidence against him, that this is a complete fabrication, and that the evidence, or the DNA evidence that's been put forward by the prosecution, has been fabricated. So that's the position that they've been putting forward in the court of law.
Now, I know you were able to go to Malaysia. You spent some time with his family. What is their sense as to what might be the outcome of this appeal?
Well, I must say they are not overly optimistic. Obviously, they're hopeful that he won't be sent back to jail. This would be the 3rd time that he's been in jail in his lifetime. But they do think that these charges are trumped up. They do think that there is, I guess, something underway to remove Anwar Ibrahim from the political stage. And so he was certainly preparing himself, I think is fair to say, for a return to jail. And certainly his family were also preparing for that. But of course we will have to wait for the verdict to see if that actually happens.
And of course he came so close during the last election of actually winning power. So what might the expected fallout be? Do you expect to see even protests on the streets of Malaysia?
There has been some protests outside the court since the trial began. There's been a few scuffles. There's been some protesters who've tried to break through barriers, but we certainly haven't seen the number of protesters that we saw, for instance, when Anwar Ibrahim was jailed last time in the late 1990s. The numbers just aren't as big. Now, some people say that that's because the Malaysian population is more concerned actually with the cost of living, with the rising cost of living in Malaysia, and there's not that real, I guess, political desire to get out on the streets and protest. But I think we will see much larger numbers, of course, on the day the verdict is delivered, and I think that there will be protests on the streets, certainly, if Mr Anwar is jailed again.
Samantha Hawley in Bangkok, thanks for your time.